So what do these protein, carbs, and fats do in our body? So you guys in general are familiar with those different macronutrients, right, what protein, carbs, and fats are? I'm going to give you a little bit of a baseline education to when you break down food into protein, carbs, and fat, what does it do in your body? First, we're going to look at protein. What most people think is that protein gives you muscle, which is true. That is part of it. It will help build muscle. But what I want you to think about is, what are we looking for? Well, I would say at the stage of life that most of this group is in, good quality energy, right? That's probably one of the most important things you're looking for. Protein, protein, protein. Protein deficiency is a huge problem for the standard American diet, and it also becomes a huge problem the older you get, because people tend to eat less, which is good. It will affect their weight, but at the same point, they also tend to not get enough protein, and they tend to not get enough healthy dietary fat. So if we're looking at good quality protein, that's going to give you sustained energy, good quality energy throughout the day. So when you wake up, it's not this fake energy from caffeine trying to keep you going. It's giving you protein so you have constant energy throughout the day. So every couple of hours, giving some good protein in your diet. It's also the building blocks of everything, not only your muscles, but it's also the building blocks of your connective tissue, your skin, your hair. It's your regenerative process.
Are protein powders effective, or are they, or are you fooling yourself?
Well, I'll definitely get into that in a minute, but I'll give you a little background on that. My main job, actually, I'm the CEO of our family business. It's a natural organic protein shake that we sell throughout the U.S. And it is a grass-fed whey protein. So remember I talked to you about how zebras eat, zebras eat what, grass? What do cows eat? Grass. Not anymore. In very small quantities, cows eat grass. That's what they're supposed to eat. But most of the cows that you're eating right now, and most of the grass, most of the cow byproducts and milk byproducts are from cows that are fed soy and that are fed grains. And if you ask any farmer how to get their cows fatter, they feed them grains, they feed them soy, and make them as big as possible. There's no fiber nutrients in there. So the whey protein that you're getting from those products, there's very few on the market. We're one of the only few on the market that actually is grass-fed whey protein, cows that are eating grass. So you aren't only what you eat, you are what you eat eats. If that makes sense. So yeah, I'll definitely get into that at the end. I'll get you some samples and some information on that. So moving on to fiber. Fiber in general we look at when we're breaking down the different carbohydrates into fiber, starch, and sugar. The other things we get from carbohydrates are the vitamins, minerals, and phytochemical stuff. But if we're just looking at the fiber, the sugar, and the starch out of a carbohydrate, fiber in general we say, okay, well, it'll make you regular. We need to have a lot of fiber in our diet, so we're going to the bathroom more regularly. That is part of it. It is similar to a broom in that it sweeps everything through your digestive tract. But the other benefits of fiber is that it's nature's safety mechanism to keep you from overeating. Remember when we talked for a minute about the zebras and how much do they eat? They eat till they're full. They aren't getting really full off of grasses, right? Because they're not only are those grasses protein rich, but they're also very fiber rich. So when they're eating all that fiber, it's that safety mechanism that tells them, stop eating. You can't handle it anymore. They don't have to think. They don't have the brains. They don't have the free will that we have to keep going. The foods that we eat, these packaged, processed, convenient foods, are fiberless. These grains, these bread products, fiberless. What most people think is, well, we need for a balanced meal, we need to get good carbohydrates in our diet, and those carbohydrates come from bread, rice, pasta. Not true at all. Those are not nature's carbohydrates. Nature's carbohydrates are vegetables and fruits. And so as a diabetic, for example, the best option you can do is really hearty on the vegetables, really small quantities of the fruits. And we'll kind of get into that in a minute, some different fruit options. Moving on to sugar. So really what you want to think about as far as those terms with fiber, I think fiber makes you full. Sugar, most people think, well, I need sugar because it gives me energy. I've got low blood sugar. There's really no low blood sugar. It's low utilization of sugar as a fuel source. That's really what happens, that your body doesn't do very well processing that sugar. It would do much better with healthy dietary oils and fats as a fuel source. So what sugar does is it gives you an energy spike and then you crash. You get that sugar in your body, your brain starts feeling great, everything starts going up, you get a little euphoria and crash right back down. And again, there's the two sides of the diabetes. There's the type 1 and the type 2. And the type 2 is due to poor dietary habits, and type 1 is something that you're born with. And if you look at the two different sides of it, either way, if you can monitor the sugar intake versus just focusing on the insulin as a crutch, it should be no problem. But if you're eating the foods that we're supposed to, the regulation shouldn't be a problem either. So it's really not an ideal fuel source of sugar. Starch. It's required for energy. It makes a complete meal. It leaves you full and satisfied. When I'm referring to starch, I'm referring to all those grain products, the bread, the rice, the pasta, the different foods that are kind of in the middle aisles of a grocery store versus the ones on the outsides. Really, what it does is that starch turns to sugar rapidly in the body. So even though it may not be as high glycemic, it's still going to be utilized as sugar and stored as body fat. It's not a good fuel source. Not only that, it's really something that you get adequate amounts of in vegetables. So when dealing with the diabetic side of it, is you want to really focus on getting high starch vegetables for most of your starch. Artichokes, asparagus, squashes, sweet potatoes, different options like that, kind of as your main sustenance versus the breads, rice, and the pastas. And dietary fat. Probably the biggest mistake we've ever made in the English language is that we combine the word fat and fat. Dietary fat and body fat are two completely separate things. Actually, by eating dietary fat, you're getting your body to burn more body fat. Say that more time. By eating healthy dietary fats, you're getting your body to burn more body fat. Your body needs that dietary fat to replace and get the body fat in your body burn off versus holding on to it for dear life. Dietary fat is needed for every hormone in your body. And the hormones are the most powerful thing for your energy, for muscle building, for fat loss, for thyroid function. Those healthy dietary fats are fundamental. So what you want to think of when it comes to dietary fat is that dietary fat leaves you satisfied, satiety, satiation. I'll give you a little example. Boneless, skinless chicken breasts on a spinach salad with a ton of other vegetables and a fat-free raspberry vinaigrette. Sounds like a fantastic meal, right?
Not really.
Not for me.
Probably not tasting, right? But people say, well, at least it's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens? So someone goes and eats that meal, and they're just not satisfied. Why aren't they satisfied? Because there's not enough healthy dietary fat there. So what do? They reach for, so they think, oh, well, I'm not full, so I need to add some starch in. I need some bread, I need some rice, I need some chips, I need some grain product. But what they need instead is those healthy dietary fats. If they would add some nuts and seeds to that salad, if they would add some avocado to that salad, if instead of the chicken breast, maybe they went with something like some salmon or buffalo or another type of fish, or if they went with some lean steak, they got something a little bit more satisfying with a little bit higher fat content, their body would be satisfied. So instead, what do they get from the starch? Starch doesn't really leave you satisfied, it leaves you bloated.